Have you ever noticed how life can shift in the blink of an eye? One moment, everything feels like a calm stream, peaceful, predictable, flowing gently. And then, suddenly, without warning, you're caught in a whirlwind. Stress piles up, chaos erupts, and you're left standing in the storm, wondering how everything changed so fast. But here's the real question. Can you stay calm even when the world around you isn't? This is the heart of growth. Not the pretty, polished version we see in quotes or posters, but the gritty, unpredictable, deeply human experience of being tested by life itself. Growth often shows up not as comfort, but as challenge. Not in silence, but in noise. And it's in these loud, messy moments that we either break or become. So, how do you stay grounded when everything feels like it's falling apart? The truth is, calmness is not a gift. It's not something only monks or mystics possess. It's a skill, a muscle that each of us can build. And just like training the body, it begins with discipline, intention, and daily practice. As the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It's a profound statement, but let's pause to unpack it. Because it's more than just a quote, it's a blueprint, a key to unlocking an inner life that isn't swayed by every breeze, by every comment, by every twist and turn. In a world that seems obsessed with controlling others, outcomes, appearances, Stoicism reminds us that true power lies not in domination, but in mastery of the self. So in this journey, we're going to explore what that really means. We'll dive into practical, down-to-earth tools to train the mind to stay composed, especially when life isn't cooperating. Because ultimately, life isn't about dodging every curveball, it's about learning how to hit them with grace. Let's begin with the first principle. 1. Control your mind, or it will control you. Have you ever felt like your mind was working against you? Unwanted thoughts sneak in. Emotions surge. You say something in anger or fear or anxiety, and later wonder, why did I do that? You're not alone. The human mind is a masterpiece of complexity. But it's also a storm capable of spiraling in directions we didn't choose if left unchecked. Imagine this. You're at a cozy party. Soft music plays, laughter echoes, and you're having a light-hearted conversation with friends. Everything feels just right, until someone across the room says something about you. A sharp comment, maybe sarcastic, maybe rude, maybe even true but painful. In an instant, your body reacts. Your heartbeat spikes. A flush rises in your cheeks. You feel exposed, vulnerable, and your mind, it goes to war. You want to snap back, defend yourself, maybe even leave the party entirely. But here's the deeper question. Is that really you, or is it your untrained mind reacting on autopilot? Epictetus, another Stoic master, said it best. We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them. Let that sink in. It's not the event itself, it's our interpretation. A harsh remark only hurts if you interpret it as an insult. But if you see it as noise, as someone else's projection, it loses all power. That's not suppression. That's mastery. Stoicism doesn't ask us to become emotionless robots. It invites us to become wise observers of our own inner world. When we pause, even briefly, we reclaim a sliver of control. We don't deny the anger or the hurt, but we don't let them drive the car either. We acknowledge their presence, nod politely, and then choose our response. Let's return to that party for a moment. Instead of reacting with anger, imagine this. You take a slow, deliberate breath. You lock eyes with the person, not with hostility, but with calm assurance. You smile gently. You say nothing. Or maybe you respond lightly, with kindness even. Their words suddenly seem powerless. Not because they weren't sharp, but because they couldn't pierce your peace. That's the quiet power of mind mastery. When someone throws stones at your calmness and watches them sink without a ripple. Even more powerful, it disarms them. When someone expects anger and receives grace, it unsettles them far more than confrontation ever could. 2. Anger doesn't solve problems, it multiplies them. Anger, it's fiery, it's seductive, and for a moment it feels justified, powerful. But here's the trap. Anger gives us the illusion of control while quietly stealing it away. Picture yourself driving down a packed highway. It's early morning, the sun just rising, and you're focused, calm. Then out of nowhere, a car swerves dangerously in front of you. No signal, no warning. Your heart leaps. Your fists clench. Rage rises like a tidal wave. You want to speed up, to honk, to make them feel what they've just done. But pause. Ask yourself, will this reaction make anything better? If you act on that anger, what might happen? A confrontation? An accident? Or just hours of lingering tension in your body? According to Stoicism, our task is not to control what others do but to master what we do next. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That rude driver? You can't stop them, but you can choose to remain calm, to keep your peace, to not let their chaos infect your clarity. Anger isn't evil, it's a messenger. It tells us something feels unjust, painful, or threatening. But like any messenger, we get to decide how we respond. Will you explode or will you listen, reflect, and respond with wisdom? When someone hurts you, do you immediately strike back? Or do you ask, why did that hurt me so much? What story am I telling myself about their words? When injustice appears, do you yell into the void? Or do you find a smarter, more effective way to assert your values? You see, Stoic calmness is not silence born from fear. It is silence born from strength. When the world screams, and you remain still, you are not weak. You are anchored. 3. Calmness is not weakness, it's your greatest strength. Society loves noise. We admire those who shout the loudest, who dominate the room, who seem powerful by how big their presence is. But real strength? It's quieter. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need to be seen to be felt. It's the person who, when everyone else is shouting, speaks with clarity and purpose or doesn't speak at all, who doesn't need to prove themselves because they've already done so internally. In conflict, the loudest voice may win the room, but the calmest voice wins respect. Imagine you're in a high-stakes meeting. Tensions are rising. A colleague, perhaps threatened by your ideas, suddenly snaps at you, attacking your opinion. Everyone turns to look at you. The pressure is immense. Do you fire back? Or do you pause? Do you breathe? Do you stay calm, not out of passivity, but out of mastery? That silence? That grace? It says more than any words ever could. It tells the room, this person is in control. Of themselves, of the moment. This is the ultimate truth Stoicism teaches us. You may not control the world, but you always control your mind. And if you don't, it will control you. It will drive your actions, your moods, your relationships, until one day you look back and realize you weren't living, you were reacting. But there's another way, a deeper way, a way rooted in self-awareness, intentionality, and practiced peace. Because the strongest people are not the ones who never feel chaos. They're the ones who learn how to remain calm within it. And that calmness we just spoke of, it's not just about keeping your cool in social settings or mastering your emotions behind the wheel. It's far more powerful than that. In fact, it can become a force that reshapes history and commands respect without ever raising a voice. Think about it. True composure doesn't just silence insults or diffuse tension. It becomes a language, a quiet but commanding presence that says, I'm in control here. Not you, not the chaos, me. That presence not only neutralizes hostility but opens the door to clear, rational responses that often win more hearts than any loud reaction ever could. And if you're wondering just how powerful this kind of presence can be, Look no further than Mahatma Gandhi. Few figures in modern history have embodied the strength of calmness and persistence quite like him. At a time when India was under the oppressive weight of the British Empire, and violence seemed like the only way to resist, Gandhi chose a different path, a quieter path, but one that would roar through history. He turned to the principles of ahimsa, or nonviolence, and satyagraha, the firm pursuit of truth. Instead of picking up weapons, he picked up conviction. He led millions in nonviolent protests, acts of civil disobedience, and peaceful marches that disrupted the very machinery of colonial power, not through force, but through unwavering calm. One of the most iconic acts of this philosophy was the Salt March of 1930. Gandhi, frail in frame but unshakable in spirit, led a 380-kilometer journey to the sea. Not to riot, not to burn, simply to collect salt from the Oceania Direct, peaceful challenge to the British monopoly on salt production. And they walked, unarmed, unprovocative, just step after steady step, drawing the line of resistance the empire couldn't ignore. What happened? The empire cracked not in its buildings, but in its legitimacy. The British responded with violence, arrests, and brutality. But Gandhi and his followers refused to meet hatred with hatred. Their calmness in the face of cruelty earned the admiration of the world and revealed something profound. True power lies not in the fist, but in the will. So what can we learn from this? That those who shout, threaten, and explode with anger are not showcasing strength. They're revealing a lack of it. They are, in truth, exposing their inability to master their own emotions. People who lack self-control often try to dominate others with aggression because they've failed to dominate themselves. But here's the twist. If you don't react as they expect, if you stay centered, calm, unbothered, you take away their power. Like trying to fight a shadow, they flail in the air while you remain untouchable. Your calmness becomes your armor. Your silence becomes your sword. Because when you control your reactions, you're not just disarming your opponent, you're affirming an unshakable truth. You are the one in charge of the situation. That's not just a tactic. That's dignity in action. It means refusing to let others decide how you feel. It means you're no longer a puppet pulled by the strings of other people's bad behavior. You are the one holding the strings of your own mind, your own mood, your own moment. A truly strong person doesn't need to raise their voice to prove anything. They don't need to flex control through fear or force. Their strength is quiet, internal. It's in the self-mastery that no one can see but everyone can feel. And once you master yourself, there's something extraordinary that happens. No one can manipulate you anymore. Let's go deeper. Because strength is often misunderstood. Many think it's about lifting heavy weights, holding high positions, or out-talking everyone in the room. But true strength doesn't come from what happens outside of you. It comes from what lives inside you. Think about it. If someone can ruin your day with a single word, who really has the power? The person who remains calm in the face of adversity has already won. Not because they avoided a fight, but because they rose above it. That's the paradox of Stoic strength. When you remain calm, you win even before the battle begins. And yet, life doesn't always play fair. Sometimes you give your best and still lose. You do the right thing and still get hurt. You pour your heart into something, and someone else gets the reward. Maybe you felt that sting. Maybe you've worked late nights, sacrificed sleep, gone the extra mile only to see a colleague who put in half the effort receive the promotion. Or maybe you've treated people with kindness, honesty, and loyalty, only to be met with betrayal, indifference, or manipulation. It's unfair, it's frustrating, and it's real. But Stoicism offers us a radical shift in perspective. Life's unfairness is not the problem. Your reaction to it is. You can't always stop injustice, but you can stop it from turning you bitter. You can't always win, but you can choose not to be defeated. Because the truth is, life doesn't owe us fairness. It owes us nothing. And yet, We owe ourselves everything, especially the commitment to rise above what we cannot change. So how do you deal with life's unfairness? First, stop trying to reshape the world into something it's not. You'll wear yourself out. Instead, shift your focus to the one realm you do control, your own mind. Accept that rain will fall, that winds will blow, that injustice will sometimes win. But also remember, you have a choice. Will you stand in the storm, cursing the sky, or will you find shelter, learn from the rain, and grow stronger from the experience? And if you ever need proof that this mindset works, look no further than Nick Vujicic. Born with no arms and no legs due to a rare condition, his life seemed, by all appearances, to be the very definition of misfortune. His early years were marked by struggle, pain, and moments so dark he considered ending his life. But then, something changed. Nick realized that if he couldn't change his reality, he could still change how he responded to it. He taught himself to do what seemed impossible right: brush his teeth, swim, play sports, all using only his torso. Eventually, he didn't just survive, thrived. Today, he is a global speaker, inspiring millions with a message of resilience, gratitude, and unshakable strength. Nick doesn't have limbs, but he has something many people never develop: a mindset of mastery. That's stoicism in action. That's the art of not letting life's circumstances define you. Because it's not about whether life is fair. It's about whether you are focused on what matters: your response, your growth, your peace. So the next time you're treated unfairly, ask yourself, will my anger fix this? Will my resentment change anything? If the answer is no, then don't give it your energy. Use that fuel instead to become better, stronger, more grounded. Because in the end, it's not the fairness of life that shapes you, it's the way you face the unfairness that does. When we look back at the powerful stories of people like Gandhi or Nick Vujicic, one thing becomes clear: the ability to remain calm under pressure isn't just admirable, it's transformative. But this calmness, this centeredness, isn't only for world leaders or inspirational icons. It applies to all of us, every single day, in the simple, quiet moments of our lives. Because calmness is not a reward for the lucky few, it's a discipline that you and I can both train, cultivate, and master. And it begins with presence. Success, in any field, whether it's in the arena of sports, business, relationships, or personal growth, isn't just about skill or knowledge. It's also about where your mind is. The most brilliant strategy in the world can fail if the mind behind it is clouded by fear, regret, or anxiety. Let me ask you something. How many times have you physically been in one place, but mentally stuck in the past, or worrying about the future? That's the hidden cost of distraction. When your attention is scattered thinking about what went wrong yesterday, or what might go wrong tomorrow, you miss the one moment that truly belongs to you: the now. This truth doesn't just apply to philosophers or athletes, it applies to you. It applies to me. Because the present is the only space where decisions are made, where action happens, where peace is possible. If you want clarity, if you want to make better decisions, if you want to live with power and purpose, you must learn to pull your mind back into this very moment. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. So let me ask you, do you often find yourself reliving old memories, regretting past choices, or worrying constantly about what's next? You're not alone. But here's the beautiful part: you don't have to stay stuck there. 7. Life is chaotic, but calmness lies within you. Let's face it, life is unpredictable. You can wake up excited about a productive day, feeling optimistic and ready. But in a blink, everything can shift. One unexpected message, a missed deadline, a harsh word from someone you love. Suddenly, the world feels like it's spinning. That's the nature of existence. Chaos is part of the package. But here's what most people forget. While you can't control the external chaos, You always have one power to control your internal response. Have you ever realized that calmness in the middle of chaos is not just a skill, it's your greatest strength? Imagine standing in a room full of people panicking, voices rising, emotions boiling, and you are the still point in the storm. You don't flinch. You don't join the noise. You breathe. You hold steady. Who do you think everyone will look to? Think about a moment on the road. You're driving. Everything's flowing. And then, out of nowhere, a reckless driver swerves in front of you, cutting you off. What's your first instinct? Slam the horn? Curse? Speed up in retaliation? Sure, that reaction feels natural, but does it help? Will your anger fix anything? Or will it just spike your blood pressure, ruin your day, and risk making things worse? Now imagine you handle it differently. You pause, take a deep breath. You choose not to let a stranger's recklessness rob you of your peace. You stay focused on your destination. You smile, maybe shake your head and move on. That moment, that tiny shift, that's power, that's self-mastery. And it's not just about driving. Every single day, you face these forks in the road. Someone says something offensive. A plan falls through. A friend breaks your trust. Your initial reaction might be explosive anger, hurt, frustration, but if you let those emotions take over, you're handing over your peace to the outside world. When you stay calm, though, you reclaim that power. You say, "No, I decide how I feel. Not you, not this situation, me." Because when someone is angry, they want you to be angry too. When someone is anxious, they want company in their worry. But if you don't give in, if you remain calm, you break the emotional chain reaction. You refuse to become a mirror for someone else's chaos. Calmness, contrary to what some believe, is not indifference. It's not avoidance. It's conscious control. It's the decision to regulate your inner world so you don't get dragged into the storm others are creating. Think of it like this. You're in a family argument. Voices are rising. Someone says something sharp, meant to provoke you. You feel it instantly. Your heart races. Your hands tense. Your mind races with comebacks. But you pause. You breathe. And you don't respond right away. In that silence, something powerful happens. You break the cycle. You don't respond as expected. And so they're left to confront their own words. Maybe they realize they went too far. Or maybe not. But what matters is they didn't pull you in. True victory isn't in the last word. It's in the last one standing with self-control intact. There will be moments, many moments, when life feels like it's pushing you to your limits. When someone else's chaos threatens to become your own. But never forget, your calmness isn't weakness. It is the ultimate form of strength. When you choose not to yell, when you choose not to react impulsively, when you choose to pause instead of explode, you're not running away. You're standing firm. And in doing so, you control more than just your emotions. You control your destiny. So next time life throws a storm your way, and it will ask yourself, will I let it sweep me away? Or will I stand tall in the silence of strength? Because that choice, that stillness, that's where your power lies. So now, as we reach the end of this journey, ask yourself one final question. Who do you want to be when life doesn't go your way? Not in theory, not in ideal conditions, but in the real, messy, unpredictable moments when emotions run high and everything feels like it's spinning out of control. Will you react or respond? Will you explode or stay grounded? Will you let the world shape your inner peacer? Will you protect it? Fiercely, quietly, intentionally. Because in the end, that's what Stoicism offers, not a perfect life, but a powerful one. A life where calmness is not a reaction, but a decision. Where control is not something you force on the world, but something you master within yourself. And remember this, every storm will pass, every challenge will fade, but the strength you build by staying calm, that stays with you forever. If this video resonated with you, if it reminded you of your inner power or helped you see things differently, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. Not just to support the channel, but to share this energy with others who might need it too. Thank you for watching, for growing, and for choosing to lead with calm in a chaotic world. Until next time, stay strong, stay grounded, stay stoic. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe to Stoic Blend for more timeless wisdom. Every week, we explore the principles of Stoicism and how to apply them in modern life calmly, clearly, and with purpose. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next step on your journey to inner strength. Thank you.